Good morning, or good evening to most of my subs in the US. Hope everyone's well. Very, very bright, blinding sunny day in Australia in the middle of winter, so it's cold and blinding. Hello to some of the regulars, big old Super Adam Super C. All right, let's get to the topic at hand today. And I realize this is maybe not an interesting topic to the, let's just put it, the self-help segment of the male space online, the manosphere. But as the cliche goes, as you get older, you realize your father was right and your parents were right and the elders were right in what they were telling you. But when you were younger, you felt like you knew more. And that's fine. It's supposed to make you be courageous and take your own risks and touch hot stoves. And, if they say, don't do this or you'll hurt yourself, and you do it and you hurt yourself, the father will say, yeah, let him learn. But the world today of society and women will say, no, everything, you don't want to feel bad at all. You don't want to, even if feeling bad momentarily may produce a lesson that you wouldn't have learned otherwise if you didn't skin your knee, if you didn't try and fail. I know there's a certain logic to not wanting to feel bad or to not wanting to fail. Of course, like, who wants to fail? No one wants to fail. It's not like you need to be an irrational masochist or something. But unfortunately, things like self-esteem, confidence, come as a result of the proof that you've done before you. And when you try things, you are never going to get them right the first shot. There's rare instances that you may, and they're completely luck. But most things in life that build self-esteem, character, knowing your sense of how good you are in a certain thing, and trusting your own judgment, come from the point of view of you doing things with your eyes open, not emotionally, not blindly, and then seeing what comes out of it. A lot of times you did it the wrong way, you adjust, you do it better, you recognize what you did wrong, things like that. But when I started to go away, my own path away from the manosphere many years ago, wasn't that I disliked any part of it. There's so much of that that's useful. But the moment I wanted to try something that I knew could work, or if I did things a different way, there is a really good chance of success in a certain area, whether it's women, life, work, decisions, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Just exploring options, right? Because I wanted something afterwards, and there's no way I could get something that I wanted without going in that direction. And a lot of people online are saying, well, that's a door that's locked, or that's a stop sign. You can't go past that. You're not allowed to. Only bad things tend to happen there. And they tend to happen. But I found that the more when you don't do it blindly, put it this way, a lot of the very useful stuff online, they tell you about dating and life and choices and men and women and relationships and all that. The statistics are absolutely right if you go towards them on autopilot, and you don't stop and pause and defer gratification, realize that even though this is easy, I can really have those 12 donuts, maybe one, or maybe I'll pause, maybe I won't have any. The person that can pause and really with his prefrontal cortex decide as best he can, and I know it's really hard, as best he can to make that decision going forward. You just see too many people that have continued success and happiness and more control over their lives. It is just a fact. You see so many people that are consistently successful, consistently happy, consistently fit, healthy mentally, healthy physically. It's not accidental. It's not, whoops, I'm a millionaire. It's not, whoops, I've got a six-pack. And we know this to be true. And I've noticed a real pushback on courage. Everything's not to be tried anymore. The men online giving advice, all of them are saying, do not take any risks, even the smallest one. We're done. And I understand the attitude of trying, and you've just had enough. You've lost patience, and now you don't try anymore. But I think there's a big difference between the courage to do what you always want to do, and you're stopping yourself because of a set of consensus rule that all your buddies say you can and can't do. I just feel like it's very, very limiting. And a lot of guys online in little pockets don't kind of like you talking as an individual. They want you talking like the group, believing in the group, in the church, singing from the verse book. And I think that if you can have small victories of taking a calculated risk on something that's really, really important to you, and you take a small step and see what happens. Oh, nothing happened. It actually worked out. I'm moving in that direction that I'm going to get the thing I want, even though everyone's telling me, it's just a matter of time before you fall off a cliff. And then you don't, because you are watching wherever you step. That's the best thing you can do. And that's when you're going to get the things you want. I mean, to pull it back to something that's less philosophical and more practical, right? Let's take an example of a guy who really wants to have children. I don't, but let me be objective. And this guy, yeah, he's kind of treading water. He's enjoying his life. But he's always wanted children. He's wanted to be a father. It's very natural. I know I'm quite unnatural in that way. Who am I to tell him, well, don't, because of the laws and all of this stuff? If I really see that is the prime meaning of his life, that's what he lives for, and if he could have that, he would pay almost any price for a good woman and a good family, and to be a father, and he would be just so proud in his life in every regard. Again, not me, but I can have some sympathy and empathy for somebody outside of me. The world isn't just the way I think. So I can actually see, I would give this guy encouraging, open-eyed advice to be as careful as possible, take his time, and really go for what he wants. But most of the guys in the safety above all part of the manosphere, and I'm not talking about all of it, but the very brittle side of the manosphere that not just concern themselves, because that's quite sensible, but are obsessed with safety, even to the detriment of the things that make you feel alive. Oh, well, I'll just sit here and do nothing. That's better than a risk that's not 100% guaranteed. I can't be bothered thinking, can you just make all women in the world perfect so I could just pick one off the shelf, or one can knock on my door and ask me to go out with her or ask me to go to bed with? I really just don't have any more patience for that. And I don't care how many people say, like, I've betrayed the manosphere, or like, I've contradicted who I was before, whatever. I've just noticed that the more you take little steps in directions that you were nervous about, and you do them with consideration, the water is never as cold as you think it is. Now, there is a very popular saying amongst the manosphere, and he didn't come up with it, but he attributed it from a movie. But there's this very popular saying amongst the manosphere that I think limits courage. And it's, the juice is not worth a squeeze, by Barbarossa. And I have nothing against Barbarossa. He's made some fantastic videos. But this saying is taken out of context. People, as they often do, they meme their ethics in life online. He said this at the end of a video. He summarized it in such that when women are bad and they don't treat you well and the laws and everything's against you, when you look at everything and there is no good, calculated, sensible, brave, amount of risk you can take to make it work out, it is not going to work out. You're just basically being reckless. You're jumping out of a plane without a parachute. Then he says the juice is just not worth a squeeze when everything is a red flag. Everything is a red flag. And the juice is not worth the squeeze in that context. And I 100% agree. But what frankly annoys me, and again, I don't care what some of you people do. My channel is about your individual responsibility to make your life better. I'm not going to help you make your life better, and you're not going to help me. This is about thinking better as a guy and making better choices, especially with relationships. Taking what Barbarossa says as like an edict, like a biblical statement, the juice is never worth a squeeze. And guys repeat this like it's been handed down from the heavens. The juice is, it's just a recipe to do nothing, to never feel alive in life, to never walk outside in the sunshine, never to do anything you want. And again, fine, if you want to sit in four walls and enjoy life on the screen and that's enough for you, great. If you're honestly happy, you sleep well at night, you've got a optimistic attitude, you're generally a person that others want to be around and enjoy having conversations with, fine. But to summarize everything Barbarossa said as the juice is never worth the squeeze, which is what this statement says. This statement is now taken as the juice is never worth the squeeze when it comes to women, ever. With relationships, with anything that requires effort, a little bit of courage or risk, even calculated, even sensible, non-drunk, sober, assessed, take my time and make a considered chess move. Never. Don't move the chess piece. Leave your pieces right where they were at the start. Don't make a move. Hold up the whole chess game. Hold up everything. Don't play. Another popular one is the only way to win is not to play. Have you know, like these sayings, the only way to win is not to play, the juice is not worth the squeeze, either out of context or excuses to just be zero. And if you want to do that, again, it's not my life. I don't stop living my life and making my choices and having mistakes and learning lessons because of worrying about what anyone thinks. I just wanted to make this video because all the pushback of trying to, there's some people in the comments that try and shame you. Oh, human you, blah, blah, blah. Or you didn't blah, blah, blah. Or shame on you for blah. I don't care. I don't know you. If you just want to stay at a zero and be safe, it's not like good luck to you. I hope you're happy and you can sleep well and it's enough for you. But if you play it safe and have no courage in life to do what you want to do, again, you don't have to get married, you don't have to have kids, you don't even have to have a girlfriend, you can just sit alone in a cabin with a dog and you're 100% happy. Great. I will fight for my right for you to be happy in that environment or anywhere. But playing it safe only guarantees that you only have one experience ever, repeated every Tuesday. And your conversations, it's no wonder that some of these conversations in the manosphere are the same conversations, the same memes, and each meme is talked about almost verbatim in exactly the same way. It's not, let's talk about the dangers of women from this perspective. And have you thought about this? And maybe this. And I used to think this, but I had an experience with someone and they opened my mind to X, Y, or Z. See what I mean? The same conversation refreshed. it is, as Michael Sarian said, in terms of like being out there in the world, refreshing your perspective and growing, it is not experiences that necessarily needs to be refreshed. It's the eyes of the experiencer. And you guys, not you, but some people out there, got to be careful because a lot of you very brittle snowflakes out there get triggered. A lot of people out there want to repeat the same Tuesday and be right rather than being happy and be flexible, at least in a conversation with me or anyone else, and say, well, look, you got a point. I don't want your life, but you have a point. I can talk to someone who's married happily with kids, and it's really interesting. I'm sitting there listening to their worldview and what gets them up in the morning and the fulfillment they feel with kids, and I kind of get it. I try and have some sympathy from the outside and understand where he's coming from. He can't explain it to me mathematically why it should be worth it to me, because it's not, but I can try and appreciate it from another person's perspective, right? This is the whole point of being able to step outside your own head for a moment and assess things not just from the 5-year-old, this is what I want, I don't want to do anything, I'm afraid of the world mentality. There are too many scared, make a million excuses women with Botox that are old and alone and miserable. And there are two similar men who are talking about the good old days and how men built the world and women aren't anything and you're great because you're deferring the gratification of the company of a woman or something, as though you're denying women your company. Like, these women out there, they don't care. There's so many men out there that will be with all these women you think you're denying your company to. They're not. They're getting on with their lives. And I just want guys to get on with their lives. Again, with or without women. Prince Revolver, he left a super chat. Again, if you guys want to leave a question during the stream or a comment and you want me to see it, either leave a super chat like Prince Revolver, or if you're here and you want me to see a comment or question and you don't want to leave a super chat, add 3 yellow smiley faces right before your question, not after, before, and then I'll see it against the black screen of my feed. So Prince Revolver asked, our grandparents and our parents took risks, and they did it with far less. Men can't afford to live meek, sheltered lives like modern women. I'll say it. I think a lot of guys online are acting not completely like the women that they detest and make fun of, but in their own way, their father, the fathers they wish they had would actually call them pussies, would actually tell them to get outside, get out of the house, go ride your bike, go do something. Whoa, I've become a slob. 80 Quell says the manosphere has become reverse feminism. No, not reverse. It's become parallel in a lot of ways from a male point of view. Yeah, not many. I took a hit with my subs, but also these type of topics, Will. This just goes to show that the subjects that I think guys should be talking about, like how to think better, making braver decisions, they're not interested. How do you get someone interested in caring enough about their decision? How do you get someone interested to go on dates and park the short skirt and the low cut top and really look at virtue and the person's character and really pay attention to be taken advantage of in the same way that most bimbos have in the past? How do you get someone, like if everyone wants to go through McDonald's drive-thru and you're talking about eating healthy, how do you make them? They need to be interested in this stuff. And I frankly I don't care. I'll say here, I don't care about guys that don't care about themselves. Make a little bit of an effort and I'll join you in a conversation. But if I have to care about your decisions, if I have to care about the decisions that is just too hard for, I just can't say no to, like, if I have to care more, if I have to do all the mental, stoic and ethical lifting for you. I cannot care more for you. I don't care. I refuse to care more about your life than, I'm sorry, the father you never had does. You know, I can't. I really can't. I'm getting passionate about this because it's just such a waste of time. There's so many guys that won't even, you know, give me 5% effort. I'll try and do 95 if you've got a healthy attitude. But if you're this stuck in the mud little spurg, you know, male version of a feminist that doesn't want to do anything, expects the world to hand you everything like a bouquet of flowers, just like you expect society to change the laws and you expect women all now to become traditional, all handed to you like a bouquet of flowers before you become the hero that you say all men are and we're better, then I'm sorry, like, waste your life. I'm not pausing my life anymore. You know, I gave a little bit of time to these conversations, but the conversation online in a lot of the manosphere isn't just not realistic anymore. I remember back when I started my channel, you'd have these podcasts and conversations with all these well-known creators, but now we're all off on our own. No one talks to each other. Everyone's kind of burrowed into their caves because no one talks with each other. No, everyone is talking in this siloed little sect, and no one wants to have a general conversation with, you know, I'm still talking to men, but I have no problem with talking with women here, with married men, with whoever. You know, you want to improve aspects of your life, talk around life. Stop talking in university in your perfect little utopian theories and expect them to magically happen in the real world. But mind you, you never go into the real world to test them. The scientific method in a lot of these discussions is not being practiced out in life because no one goes there. Everyone thinks that, yeah, we're all the theorists in university and some scientists, they'll do it for us. They'll go out there. No, you have to do this. You know, these are instructions by which you can test ethically out there to see if they work. Yeah, Ahmed Ghost said, go do something, cut me some firewood. Yeah, the manosphere is not what it was. Most of it, I'm generalizing, but I don't care. I'm allowed to generalize, and so are you, right? So it's hot in summer. Shoot me if there's a few days that aren't, if there's a few weeks that aren't. Generally, it's hot in summer. And now generally what I've seen is kind of, there's this large divide. There's kind of the, if you want to call a left and a right direction, there's one large part of the manosphere that's all pick up and dating and reality TV style men and women clashing on microphones. You know what I'm talking about, the biggest channels like Fresh and Fit and the Whatever podcast and Pearl and all that kind of stuff, just arguing and not real, and trying to prove I'm right, you're stupid. It's like, I'm great, you're stupid. Men are great, you're stupid. And then you got the other side, where I can see the guys that say, I've had enough of that. I'm not arguing with you anymore. In the same way I gave up arguing with feminists. I get it. But there's no solutions. None of them. The podcast style arguing, or the guys who have given up or who want to be left alone, but no one is looking for solutions by which they can solve their problems with or without women. And the guys that have opted to ghost society, I would say their solution is much better. I'll give them that. Their solution is much better than the Fresh and Fit style PUA sort of circle jerk sort of stuff, because you actually have decided to do something. You have decided on something. I would argue, listening to a lot of the commenters, especially the way they comment under my video, the rudeness and the I don't get it. It's like I've personally insulted someone because I have an opinion. Anyway, I've just kind of seen it split into these kind of areas. Now, getting back to Barbarossa's quote, the juice is not worth the squeeze, in context to the video that he made, and this was at the end of it. He was saying that everything I talked about, all the negatives, it really is not worth it. So all the negatives are not worth it. But this has been taken as in the juice is never worth a squeeze, just like not playing the game is the only way to win. You win nothing. You win a dark cave of safety waiting for the grave. That's all you win. I would say it's more attributed to where this came from. I'm pretty sure Barbarossa, although I could be wrong, but this predates Barbarossa. The quote originated from, is the juice worth the squeeze, coming from the movie The Girl Next Door. It's a 2004 movie. This is much more useful because you're asking yourself the question, is the juice worth the squeeze? Not the juice is just not worth a squeeze, full stop, mic drop, no need to think. It's a rule. These rules I don't like at all, and because there's no discussion around them. If you try and intelligently question them, test them like a scientist, rephrase them, turn them over, see if they do still hold true, you will get these acolytes, these religious zealots in the manosphere saying, no, that's the rule. The rule is you never do this. You never, and have you noticed the rule is what you never do, what you say no to? It's all about inaction. It's never about, well, the rule is you do this. It's all about what you don't do. And ghosting isn't doing anything. It's actually the absence. I mean, the result is still something usually positive. The absence or not giving people your time that aren't worthy of your time, I get it. But most of the rules now have become not going your own way anywhere, not doing anything, not forward action, not choices. It's just all don't do a thing. Which brings me back to the topic of courage. I just would encourage guys to have more courage, because taking some action and then you might fail here and there, or it didn't work out the way you want. But what happens is when it does, when you get the small victories, you will develop confidence and self-esteem going forward, because you'll have the evidence behind you that, yeah, I tried and I'm proud of myself. And it did work out that way, that I did it with my eyes open in that particular way. It might not exactly be how everyone else does it, but I know what works for me. I know what does it for me. Because there's no point me listening to parts of dating advice online that says a woman has to be A, B, C, D, E, and F, and then you can marry her. It's like, well, I have no choice, no predilections, no taste that I can imbue on whether or no, it's just these 5 biblical points that will make her a great partner. It's like, so it doesn't matter how I get along with her. It doesn't matter what her values are. It doesn't matter how she thinks, if she's an introvert, extrovert, how she concept connects, what her ethics are. What her ethics are, the rules by which she adheres and instructs herself in life. That should not spark any kind of compatibility. There's compatibility at all, personal compatibility with the person, spending time with the person all the time and being able to talk with them. That doesn't matter. It only matters that she has 0 tattoos, has a body count almost at 0, if not 0, cooks, a great house cleaner and all of that sort of stuff, and basically fits in your frame, smiles, and basically acts like a pet, right? So any woman you find like that, an obedient woman, it doesn't matter if she has any kind of, the personality doesn't matter, the compatibility with you and someone you're supposed to spend all this time around, it doesn't matter. And then you'll be happy. Bullshit. I see too many guys my age and older, 60s and 70s, and they go to Thailand, and I see them with these women now, and they're angry. I see them in the supermarket. She can't even communicate barely. She's got broken English, and he gets angry at her. I saw it in the supermarket a while ago where she was asking for something at the deli, some meat at the deli, and she couldn't communicate properly. And the woman across the deli was trying to understand it, and the guy just interjected, getting angry at his own wife, his own Asian wife, and he's like talking down to her, say, "Speak up, will you?" And he's getting pissed off at her. Like, that's your prize? Someone who's submissive and does everything you want, but you can't stand being around them and they frustrate you. That's compatibility for you? That's your brave choice? For me, it's kind of a base cowardly choice. Again, that's me. You think you're brave doing all that? Again, look, if your type might be Asian submissive women that you don't care to talk much to because you don't have much to say. That's fine. I'm not telling you what your taste should be, but knowing what does it for you. I know that I need someone to put up with this. I'm very verbal. I need to talk. I get everything out. I can't just get everything out here. Like I get a lot of this out with Stephanie now. I have someone in my life that I can communicate in a vital way that's really important to me, which is language and communication and knowing I can trust someone through the clarity of conversation and things like that. I've got some more comments here. Prince Revolver, he said, modern dating is basically full of NPCs running around and AI software run by children. Yeah, it is. I will say this. If you are dating as an NPC, like a lot of these guys are with their 5 rules and stay in my frame and low body count and all these kind of rules where you don't have to think, you just have to turn up to a date with your checklist of 10 things that every guy would pat you on the back for, and you don't care about your ethics and standards and values. If you go out there, you're an NPC trying to date, and you will never be able to trust her because you've got no values and personal ethics by which you know you can trust someone through. If you get, like, think about someone who's highly religious, right? They go about their life just always asking God what God wants, right? Which is fine for people like that if that's what you're into. You never ask. You just follow instruction and do the right thing. They're still nice people, right? But they don't care necessarily. Their needs are never there. God's needs are first, right? And if you're the same kind of guy that the manosphere's needs are first and whatever you want doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your proclivities are. Like, go ahead, but don't, like, check yourself with your frustration towards women and that. I think your frustration at dating and women and all that is precisely because you don't care enough about who you are and what you need to turn up on a date and say, yeah, I like my buddies in the manosphere, and what they say is interesting and accurate. And when I notice it on a date, it's a red flag. But if that's not my red flag, then it's not a red flag. I'm sorry. I don't care what the objective standards for the perfect cardboard cutout woman is out there. I know what mine are. A.T. Quell, he says, or she says, as people, we want people to be what we want rather than allow people to be who they are and get upset and complain when they allegedly change, and most times they are putting up a front. This is true, and I've been there, but I've found out that the more you talk and communicate and don't hold anything important back, learn to articulate yourself so you never come across rude, even with the most essential questions that could appear rude to someone if you said it the wrong way. But learn to speak well so you can communicate your thoughts, not for them, not so you're not rude to them, but so you know exactly what this person, so they can't hide behind the mask. Do you think the amount I speak and how deep I go with questions and how I can politely articulate myself, do you think that I would hold back anything that was interesting to me on dates, especially as I got older? When I was younger in my 20s, yeah, I was naive, hadn't read much, didn't have the courage, was scared, shriveled up, and let women walk all over me, never knew my boundaries, couldn't say no to women, couldn't say no to parents, couldn't say no to any job, how I was treated, staying back, working, all that kind of stuff. But then you learn, you have to learn, because either you get frustrated to a point where you don't like feeling that way and you have to learn skills by which to get out of it. And thinking better, speaking better, and expressing to people exactly who you are and what you want is the only way through this. Philosophically, it was the only way through it for me. And again, if I can't help any of you guys or girls, but especially guys, because this is what my channel is directed to, younger versions of me and guys that feel like the way I'm speaking, that sounds like medicine. Not the oasis of whatever all the other manospheres is telling you. Like, it doesn't work. You've tried their way, it doesn't work. You can repeat trying it their biblical high-value male way, but if it doesn't seem to work, why not try it a different way? And if the way I'm speaking to you speaks to you, frankly, then I would say it will do nothing but benefit you to look at your ethics and your values. Because you will have to, once you start going down this road, you will have to find out who you are. It is too interesting and it's too essential. You can ignore it, but once you open the door, it's it's hard to go back. And it's hard for your life to be as bad as it was. It really is, because you no longer think and operate the way you do. You do change for the better, and you are courageous much more, with the courage to say things, to not keep your mouth shut, to say yes when you mean it, to say no when you mean it politely. And you learn that no is not rude, but you can say it politely. And if a person has a problem with it, it's not your problem, it's someone else. Christina says, how do you stay strong when taking risks after gaining success in life? Realizing you've got the evidence, like, look how successful I have been because I took risks. So the answer isn't to covet to keep what you've got and freeze now, is to keep going. Like, you already know that taking calculated risks and being braver and going for what you want in a calculated, open-eyed way, it works. So why would you stop? Why would you stop? If you are being honest and honestly courageous, why would you stop? I would just make it a rule. You don't get greedy. Don't be reckless. Keep the same head, but don't be afraid of losing. You've already got something. Like, for instance, people who are with you. You're not going to lose people who actually care about you because you speak honestly and you're going after things that you want, especially if you're not taking away from them. And if they get offended, it's not your problem. How do you stay strong when taking risks after gaining success in life? Again, courage. Having more courage. Look, I think if you are to calibrate yourself towards any kind of umbrella feeling, like is to always try and be proud of yourself tomorrow. And if you're courageous, if you tried your best, if you gave it a shot, if you said no to the hot girl because the old you wanted to say the yes, but like, nah, I'm not doing that again. This is deja vu. No, thank you. You're proud of yourself. If you can say no to a person you weren't able to say no to before, and you're proud of yourself, you gain that evidence and you gain the confidence to sort of keep doing more of it. You won't be afraid to take more and more calculated risks. The more small risks you take that prove the evidence of taking more and more and bigger. The big wins that you see people have, the rich, successful people, the people with beautiful partners, the people with really compatible, communicative relationships, they're not accidental, and we all know it. This isn't like, well, I luckily got someone and I wasn't paying attention. You'll never be able to say to a businessman like, well, whoops, you just became a successful millionaire. They will tell you exactly how intentionally they went about it, the steps and the lessons and the failures. Yeah, my relationship with Stephanie is very intentional. We speak. We know why we love each other. We know why we stay together. We know how we communicate and keep it going. And it's very intentional and clear. But the accidental method by which a lot of people think life and relationships work is exactly why I think a lot of them just opt to say, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, and the only way to win is not to play, because they're not interested enough to see all of this stuff as requiring skill. And if you don't care about acquiring the skill to sort of do life in any of these ways, then again, I can't care more about, I really don't care about your life more than you do. Start caring about your life and I can kind of join you there in conversation. I find these everyday life topics really, really interesting. Like the most interesting topics you just look at all the topics on my channels. They might be philosophical to one depth or another. Some of them might be just very surface and pedestrian. But I find everyday life the most interesting thing. People talking about, facial symmetry and all of these really advanced scientific DNA-styled forensic topics that are very scientifically interesting, and you can really get deep into it, into that cave, into that rabbit hole. But I find the first level of where most of us exist, the middle of the bell curve, the everyday conversations, really intelligently talking about everyday life and everyday things that most people can relate to, they are the most interesting, because if you don't stay on top of them and you don't know how you're doing them, you don't know how you're trusting people, you don't know what love looks like, you don't know why you can't sleep, you don't know, like you don't have your habits in order, you're just kind of like a hose turned on full and you're just spraying everywhere, and if you're lucky you'll get a good day, but overall it's just chaos and bad days. I refuse to. There's just too many people that don't live that way, and they have much more organized, predictable, stable lives. The stability of your life isn't just by doing nothing. I know you can have a stable life doing nothing, locking yourself into a cave, but you can have a lot of fun in life with a few failures and lessons, but on aggregate, you have a much more positive life. And I'm not just bullshitting myself or you. Like, as I've gotten older and taken more calculated risks and had a little bit more courage in my life, I've been rewarded with the things I wanted, things I never knew, in ways I never knew. And a lot of having the courage to go out and get these things and take a bit of a risk. They're often not exactly what you imagined they were on paper when you're in your little cave. Often they're different better, often they're just different or the same thing. Sometimes they're worse. But you'll never know unless you try. Theories mean very little. And you read all the main well-known philosophers like, Nietzsche and all those guys. They really believe in, and even the Stoics. Was it Marcus Aurelius, or I think it was Seneca? He talked about this, where if it's not, was it? No, Aristotle, I think it was, that ethics, philosophy is nothing if it's not practiced. And I really believe this. It's all just theory and really interesting poetry and interesting fiction, but it's not real life unless you practice it. Okay, can we just take a break for 5 seconds? All right, I'm back. So, yeah, I don't want to leave that train of thought to let it dissipate, but I just want really people to remind themselves, do you have something to get up for? To do a project, a hobby, not just I'm getting up for safety. I'm getting up for neutrality. I'm getting up for zero. I'm getting up to play that first level of a video game that I've played for the last 20 years of my life. And I just want to, watch The Matrix for the 256th time. Stay in your genre, okay, but again, I can't tell you to do something new, because who am I to tell you what you should do? But I would encourage people, do your thing, but adjust. Okay, end of disruptions. Solace says, I thought Human was talking more broadly in terms of all relationships, but it seems he's trying to convince guys women aren't that bad to man up. No, again, see, I never said that. This is one thing, and I'm not saying it's essentially about you. There's so many guys there that are so beholden to their biases of no women are worth any squeeze, or the only way to win is not to play, and the juice is never worth the squeeze. What I'm saying is the juice in your life could be women, could be moving house, could be starting a hobby, could be getting fit, could be anything. But if all women are shit for you, then all women will be, because you don't care to see anything else. Just in the same way, I've noticed a lot of feminists have their all men are crap magnifying glass or glasses on. Whenever they go out in public on dates, they front load themselves with these black glasses of you're crap, you're guilty, I don't like you, you've got a lot of heavy lifting to do to make me convince me that you are even worthy of my time. And if you front load your eyes and your mind with no women are worth it, no juice is worth the squeeze, the only way to win is not to play, you won't go on dates. You'll barely be motivated to go on a date other than she's pretty. Nothing else will motivate you. Certainly most guys need to sort of have companionship with a compatible person that you can talk to. Pfft. That's too flowery and poetic in their minds when I say that. That's too philosophical. Fine. Go out, keep chasing. If you're someone who's moderately good looking, keep failing and being frustrated by the same hot bimbos. And if you've got less success, keep chasing things you'll never get. Then if you got them, you'll still be frustrated, or you'll stay with them just because these women, these hot, reprehensible women, are always single, and you manage to land one of them. You'll probably hold on to her really tight because you think you've got a prize. Mind you, no other guy wanted her. The Chads don't want her. Anyone who's a little bit better looking than you doesn't want her. But you'll have her because you think she's a prize because she's better looking than you. I'm not saying to man up. All of this stuff, whenever I hear if I say something and someone says, so what you're saying, human, is ... It's like, no. Can you please repeat what I said instead of reinterpreting what I said? Because this is willfully being obtuse. This is willfully misinterpreting what I said to match up with what you already believe, your own biases. You don't think that any woman is worth it, which is fine, but I'm not telling men to get with those women. If you believe that all women are crap and there's no redemption in any relationship, every relationship is irredeemable, there's nothing in it for you in any relationship, I would encourage you not to date. Don't date any women with that attitude. Just like I would encourage every feminist, don't date out there. Don't poison the dating pool. Don't ruin it for other guys and girls. Like, stop being poison in a well. Like, yeah, live on your own. Yeah, I encourage you, don't date. I've said this to guys in Discord chats, which, by the way, I've got a new Discord channel, link under this video and also in my about section. I've just launched a fresh Discord channel, so I encourage you guys to join up. I'm no longer doing my gilded channel because now I think they want you to sign up via another sort of sign up method, which it was already too hard. So I'm letting that go. See, if gilded was a woman, I'd let her go. Too hard. It shouldn't be that hard. But I've talked to guys on Discord where they're so beholden to they know the correct way to live their life, how to date. All women are bad. And they are so beholden to their ethics, which is fine. You know who you are and what your ethics are. Great. When I recognize someone, there's no room for discussion. There's no room for sharpening of opinions to get better. Even if you believe what you believe, why are you so afraid to challenge your beliefs and talk around it? Why do your beliefs need to be sealed behind glass and no one's allowed to touch them like a Fabergé egg? And to these guys that I talk to that are so sure of themselves that the world is black and white and all women are this way, and I'm not playing a game with any women because I'm perfect and all women are that way and none of them are worth my time, attention, or energy because I know what all of them are like without even speaking to them. I'm Yoda. I'm a soothsayer. I know exactly what all of them are like, right? I just say to these guys, okay, you're right. Yep. I think just keep doing what you're doing. And some of them actually, you could tell they go a bit silent because they want me to continue to fight against them and talk. It's like, I'm not going to fight against you. Just keep doing what you're doing. No, go for it. Like, you're very sure of yourself. Good for you. Most guys aren't. Keep doing it. And some of them are like, well, what do you mean? Like, they almost want you to convince them. There is bad as girls I've met that are like, I need a guy who kind of controls me a bit. I need a guy who pushes against me. It's like, I don't want to be with anyone like that. And most sensible guys wouldn't either. And these guys are so certain, yet they complain about their lives. It's like, you've locked yourself in a cage and you've swallowed the key. And I've got better things to do with my life. If you're in a cage and the cage door's open or it's not locked, you know, we can do something with that. But if you're acting like a brat, it's like, no, go off. You're absolutely right. Keep doing what you're doing. Tell me the stories later. Yeah, Prince Revolver says, so what you're saying, human, reminds me of a woman who misinterpreted everything a guy said. Yeah. Have you ever had those discussions where I've had the one that pops into my head is I'm having a discussion with a group of people about, say, disciplining your child or discipline or something, but let's just say disciplining your kid. And most people, they say, because I don't have children, I don't have any say in it. But say those where I am part of the discussion, and I'll say, well, I believe, you know, that kids need A, B, and C, and the science shows this, and history shows that, you know, children need some discipline and blah, blah, blah. And the ultra modern kind of left-leaning modern theory of raising kids, their interpretation is, well, so what you're saying, human, is you hate kids. It's like, no, I was talking about disciplining kids. I didn't say I hate kids. But they will interpret things. They go to extremes. People love being black and white with their theories. They feel more sure about themselves and their ideas as opposed to yours to make you black and them white. So there's no gray. There's no discussion. And a lot of guys go on dates being very black and white in their thinking, as girls as well. And I notice in discussion, it becomes very my football team against your football team. We can't discuss the sport. It's my team is better than yours, and that's it. We're not meeting part way. I only win when you fail. That's the way the discussion goes. It does it. It's a very childish, myopic way of thinking. And it does remind me of someone who's very, very fragile and insecure. So what you're saying is, and they push you into a corner where they can make you look like a fool and put words into your mouth. But you need to kind of catch that and go, no, I didn't say that. Point to me anywhere that I said it. Yeah, I've also said this, with all the accusations I've gotten recently, I'd like to, any of the guys just say, like, any accusation that they think I've said, please point to me in context, any video where I've explicitly said what you're saying you think I've said. I don't think I have. Christina says, I lost many friendships because they don't want to face their truth, yet they want to improve. Yet they want to improve in their lives. Merigo. Yeah, also, you don't have to try and convince people also. If people fight you, if you know you're not telling them what to do, I get people who are offended, and I'm just giving you my thoughts. I'm saying, this is what I want to do, this is what I think is correct, and this is what works for me. And they get offended because if I'm for me, somehow I'm against them. And to me, it's really insecure and stupid. And again, it goes back to the talk today I want to have about having more courage. I think the less courageous people and the more fearful people are the ones who cannot entertain another view outside of their religious bullet points. That's the only thing. That 5-year-old view of life is the only thing that's keeping them secure. It's really weird to me. My solutions to say be more courageous and take more calculated risk is to, you don't have to do big steps, right? Everyone loves the romantic big step. You know, Monday I start my diet. Like you look like a couch, and then on Monday you're going to start a diet, and you can just see yourself looking like a bodybuilder competing in Mr. Olympia, shortly thereafter. But I would say small victories are the more realistic ones. So if you're locked in your home and you don't want to talk to women for whatever reason, is try baby steps of just saying hello or good thanks when the cashier at your local supermarket, when you're buying your bread, says hello. You say hello back, and you see there's nothing wrong with that. They're not trying to ruin your life. And you just start to talk to people if you're not good at talking to people. I started this stream because I didn't like the fact that I couldn't talk in real time off the cuff like this. And I admired people who did stream and were able to be relaxed. I admired people who could vlog and could communicate their thoughts through video like this. So that's why I started a stream. So small victories, little victories that no one else cares about, but for you, they're evidence that you can keep going in that direction and take bigger and bigger steps. And don't be afraid to evolve out loud. And once you give yourself permission to make mistakes and evolve out loud, and you realize your world doesn't end, no matter if people talk badly about you or accuse you of this, and especially shame you in the comment section. It's like, yeah, you're doing the same thing chicks do. You just want to shame me for no good reason. I haven't done anything wrong, but you want to call me a bad person for something. I haven't actually done anything wrong to you or anyone else. You start to notice the evidence of this doesn't hurt me. Words don't hurt me. And then you develop self-esteem and confidence and blah, 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 and you start making positive choices in your habits and your life going forward. You know, the good thing about having more courage is you have more interesting stories. And when you do catch up with your friends and you have conversations like this, you learn a lot from each other. It's a rich conversation. And aside from your world, you get another person's world because they've lived life in... There's a reason why... Look at the conversations I've had on my chat channel, which I encourage you to join. It's in the low bar or in my About section. I've had conversations, multi-hour conversations at any one time between 1 to 3.5 hours with varied people like, Spetsnaz, Quaz, Karu, Boffin, like a whole bunch of people that they've lived life in their own ways and reflected and have a lot to say, and they've written and they've thought and they've made videos. And whereas a lot of guys I've spoken to in comments, I can speak to them for a short amount of time, but they have nothing to say because they haven't sort of been out there and skinned their knee a bit and tried a few things. And the reality is you're going to make a few errors, but then you regroup, adjust, and you get better and you had better stories. But playing it safe only guarantees you have only one story, a very short one, and you repeat it. And all you got left then is memes. That's why I think a lot of these guys and girls just have power memes, empowerment power memes. It's the only thing that can fill up the kiddie pool of their life. Other people's more powerful memes. They quote other people who have achieved more in life. As Elon Musk said, or as Marcus Aurelius once said. It's like, great. He was the emperor of Rome. and you're standing on his back and you don't even realize it. You think that it's you. You think you're the mountain. You're not. You're standing on top of it. So I would say, have a little bit of courage. This is my solution. Have little victories in the direction where you want to get things out of life. You don't have to jump off the cliff. You just have to kind of slowly walk downhill and show the evidence that it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Then you can go steeper and steeper and steeper, and you'll develop skill. And you'll feel like you're never jumping off a cliff. You're just very good at climbing down mountains by the end when you get very skilled. So for me, it's not the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's more accurate that the original saying, is the juice worth the squeeze? And that requires you to know, to assess, to take your time, and to know if the juice is worth the squeeze to you, and not that it's a rule in a church online that says it's never worth the squeeze and the only way to win is not to play. It's completely false. You win nothing except safety. And if you never squeeze, you never get any juice. You get nothing again. You're not clever. You're just existing until the grave. That's it. If that's your victory, fine. But tell me what else you win. Tell me what else. What experiences? Tell me a story. Tell me about what you learnt. If all your story from heartbreak is, oh, she was a bitch, all women, it's like, great conversation. That was good. Let's talk about the steak or something else. Like, it's kind of like there's nothing. There's no like what a missed opportunity not to have a lot of thoughts about a situation, like a great story that you can learn and go forward with. This is a MGTOW Cowboy says, remember, if human gets divorced, he will lose big if he has money. Yep, if I get divorced. Some of you guys are funny. Some of these are in-jokes. Big Ol says, humans' dating profile would be, you must listen like a shampoo bottle. He's talking about me talking a lot. In some ways, that's true. Stephanie gets an ear bashing from me a lot, but she likes it. What's the most poetic way to put it? Stephanie is orally masochistic. Big Ol says her communication is key. Me, okay, what's wrong? Her, nothing. Yeah. I've learned those women are, if you can't even communicate honestly, like what's wrong, and someone can't actually tell you what's meaningful, like they can't trust their partner to say, I don't feel good, and let me tell you, I'm worried about my partner knowing that that I'm not feeling well. I must keep my mask on. Prince Revolver says, Solace is either a bored guy or a woman pretending to be one. All right, any last questions or comment relating this topic? I'll read some of the comments that I think I asked this on my also on my channel under the community tab. I can't go any further. On my community tab, I usually post a lot of questions leading up to this stream. So always check back to my community tab for here. So here, leading up, I said about this stream, about having more courage. I said, now I'm not telling you to jump out of a plane without a parachute, but I am going to talk about the importance of trusting yourself to take a calculated risk on things that mean a great deal to you. And that's what this stream's been all about. Now let's go through some of the comments here. Boffin says, courage, because, a movie titled Safe Heart would really suck. That's a very, very good one. I like that. Boffin's a funny guy. Quaz says, imagine how boring life would be if everything always worked out. It's very close to a definition of hell. As well as would it be if nothing ever worked out. Yeah, that's true. If nothing ever worked out. I think the security of doing nothing, at least that works. It does work, but it's the most zero form of consistency that there is. Doesn't hurt, doesn't feel good either. It's comforting. He continues, the adventure in life comes from facing obstacles and overcoming them. Without a real risk of failure, the adventure is lost. All you have to do, just watch, I recommend subscribe to Quaz's channel, and you just look at the videos he posts, he's enjoying life. Like, believe your eyes. You want something that looks like a vlog on YouTube? Go out there and film a vlog in real life. A lot of people, like I'm not a very social, outgoing, adventurous kind of person. But I remember when I started wanting to vlog, I got out there by dint of wanting to make these kind of videos. But most people don't even want to make videos. They just want to listen and consume. They don't want to produce anything. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Quaz continues, of course, on the topic of courage, he says, of course, it's still possible to find oneself in the situation where one is engaged in a lot of overcoming, but it comes to feel like a risk of meaningless outcomes. This isn't a problem with the game itself, but rather a poor choice of character for the game. Yeah, you're playing a game where you chose a poor character. You're playing the game as an NPC, and for those guys who aren't into gaming, an NPC is a non-playing character. It's the character that you go up to in the bar that just says a few prescribed words so that you can actually go on the journey as the first person. So yeah, the problem is people play the game as an NPC, not as the main character. Imagine playing some hardcore fantasy game as a baker or an accountant. Imagine how miserable that would be. Yeah, it's the example of playing an adventure game as the leper on the side of the road that's got, asking for a gold coin. That's it. Oh, consistent. You'll be there all the time. Or playing as the tree, one of the trees in the forest that you go through. The hero walks through a forest and you play one of the trees. Imagine how miserable that would be. But in fact, many are choosing low reward characters for themselves in the game called life because of a perception of safety. But in reality, that safety is an illusion and the chances of a boring, unrewarding, lonely life are near certain. Of course, sailboats are a good solution to all this. Yeah. Like I said, just look at Quaz's life. Look at anyone's life that actually films some form of life. Even the young people that film themselves vlogging and they're going to the supermarket and they get in the car and they're just filming their lives. It's kind of boring. There's no story. It's just follow me from when I get up to when I go to bed. That's their channel, right? They have much more of a first player character. They're actually playing their life in a more interesting way than these NPCs. But they will defend their NPC life and say, well, at least I never made a mistake. The older you get, man, I swear, the holding up the virtue of I never made a mistake just says to me, you never tried anything either. Well, I never got divorced. I'm not saying, again, it's a bad example. I'm not wishing anyone to get divorced, but you don't just blindly go into it. I would reframe the juice is not worth a squeeze in terms of what did I write it down as? I wrote a few thoughts about this. I said, I'd reframe this to mean what Barbarossa I think meant in saying that the juice is not worth the blind squeeze. Do not blindly squeeze something and expect to get juice. Know what you're doing. But a lot of the NPCs in the manosphere take it as the safest choice is the only one. So you don't squeeze anything, you don't play any game, you don't take any risks, you don't go out on any adventure. You don't have to think. You look at these memes and they are the very binary 5-year-old low-level effort of no thinking, no bravery, no courage, no understanding, no good story, no interesting person. Again, do what you want. Quaz, actually, he's got a few more points. He says, good guidelines, though. Know the difference between risk scenarios and ruin scenarios. Yes. Nothing is worth losing everything, as no payout compensates for ruin. That's right. I would never encourage someone to put everything on a lottery ticket. Don't gamble. I don't think any of us here are saying gamble. We're saying take a calculated risk. And the more it's really important to you, you are going to make the most meaningful calculated risk you can, because it means so much to you to get the desired outcome. Whereas a lot of people who don't care and they think all of this is luck. And it's like, why can't I get a hot, brilliant girlfriend that I get along with and am compatible with? And to them, they're just going to throw themselves at any date, any good-looking date, and wonder why it doesn't work out. Just like we can all objectively look at these entitled women who keep asking, where are all the good men? Why am I single? Why can't I find a man? We can all accurately say, well, let me count the ways, sweetheart. It's because of your attitude. It's because of this. It's because of your entitlement. It's because of that. But when you start saying it to guys, it's like, oh, I'm offended. Human hates all. Like, no, I don't. I'm just trying to get you to hold yourself to realistic standards where you can actually get what you want and you can be realistically happy with someone who's compatible with you, instead of wanting a bouquet of flowers that resemble a perfect woman. Also, Quaz's third point is often high risk but very high payout gambles are safer than moderate risk, moderate payout scenarios, especially over the long haul. And Boffin says, but in fact, many are choosing low reward characters for themselves in the game called life, basically because of a perception of safety, but in reality, the safety is an illusion. Bloody, bloody, blah, blah. Okay, he's just quoting Quaz. And Quaz says, a way to think about this might be to compare extremes like mortality rate of real estate agents to professional sport bike races. Certainly racing motorcycles is far more dangerous, but driving across town to show houses isn't safe, and you could die doing that too. Both can get pancreatic cancer at the same rate or something else. Life isn't safe. Remarkably, this all mirrors the man versus bear conversation. I'm not sure what you mean by there. Yeah, man versus bear. Your perception of risk is rarely accurate, and if you are prepared, risk is largely irrelevant. I think that if it's important to you, you're going to if it's actually important to you and meaningful to you, the risk should, if it's meaningful for you, it will be much more considered and it will be less of a risk to someone who's doing it blindly. And if it's meaningful for you, and if you always had a fear before you reach the point of doing it, 9 times out of 10 in my experience, and some of you guys, Quaz and Boffin, can lean in here as well, 9 times out of 10, it's not just that the risk was worth the reward. The water is never as cold as you thought it was. It never is. I can barely think of any time where something was really meaningful for me. The risk was worth the reward. And the common phrase that always came to my head is that I should have done this sooner. What was I afraid of? This isn't as bad. The time I wasted. Even breaking up with someone you should have broken up with, like the water is always warmer if you just take the courage to do what you know you should do. Do what you should do. But a lot of guys don't. They just, no, I'll go to the safe meme. Araya Williams says, I've learnt the more work a person does on themselves, the more courageous a person will become. That's actually a good point. If you don't do the work, you will get nowhere. That's right. The work can't be done for you in a glib saying of the only way to win is not to play. That safe saying will not do the work of a rewarding life, a happy life, a life in sunshine, a life where you feel alive. It won't. The glib memes will not do the work for you. You have to. You have to know who you are and who you're compatible with before you have a skillful chance at getting someone, and then knowing why you got them, knowing why they're for you, knowing why you can trust them. I can't imagine how any of these guys who blindly, like a lemming, go through the pickup method of, low body count, high value male, start a business, get jacked, she's a great house, like all of this stuff, and I'm going to get this perfect woman of my dreams and everyone's going to be envious. You'll be miserable behind closed doors. You'll have a mute bimbo sitting next to you in your Ferrari convertible, and you'll have to spin plates because you'll think variety of women can replace having acompatible women, and you'll keep rotating women, just like a lot of women do. They keep riding the carousel because they don't know who they are and what they want, and they don't want to choose. Choice is also taking the calculated risk. I choose to do this thing that's really important to me. But that's a very important point, Arayu. If you don't do work on yourself, if you don't look in the mirror and find out who you are and what you want, you will not know what you need. You will not know that the person in front of you is compatible to you. You will always be going on dates thinking, I had a good time. Let's hope this keeps going. Zeus, keep this consistent, please, because I don't know. I have no trust in if this is going to last. And then if you move in with that girl, have kids with that girl, marry that girl, and you're always crossing your fingers and hoping the statistics don't land on you, it's not a way to live. David P., long-time subscriber, says, if it doesn't work, it's an opportunity for me to reassess the situation, determine if I want and need to change my methods, adjust my expectations, or perhaps abandon the mission. Most of the time, it's not worth losing sleep over. Yes, all right. Let us see how long I have been going on this stream for, just over an hour. I think that's as good a place as any to drop the stream. Thank you for turning up. I know this isn't a very popular, accountability is not a popular red pill feminist, like what the male-female sphere has become. I know that men and women are different, but now it's just been victimhood. I'm great, you're stupid, and I'm not playing the game. I'm not doing anything. It's just been a cerebrally and ethically lazy conversation, and it's a reason why I have few people to talk to, and it's also why I had fewer opportunities as I got older and discovered this. Like, I know what I need, and it's harder to find a compatible partner because you just can't be yourself and have the conversations that are meaningful for you. So, yeah, as I say, be you, articulate yourself, know who you are, know what you want, and you'll know the difference between the same old bimbo, the same old conversations that go nowhere, the same old expectations of you, and then when someone stands out and you can have a conversation with them and you can share your inner world, that's a real friend. That might be a potential partner. And that goes from family to lovers to friends and jobs and workplaces. I think all this, there is only a philosophical way through all this stuff, especially as the world becomes, it's already become more and more isolated. People feel more and more nervous. All the rules are out the window. Religions disappearing, marriage is disappearing, all the structures are disappearing. Everyone is left only with their minds, but yet everyone is enamored with the entertainment, the social media aspect, the reality TV aspect of online. No one wants to find the philosophical way through as important. And if you don't find this discussion as a solution for you to solve your problems relationally with people, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't care. I don't care about your mental pain and what you go through if you don't care enough to think better and speak better and have open conversations and listen. Actually listen to what the hot chick says on a date and know through your ears, paying attention that, like, no, not going out with her, not going to bed with this crazy, you know? It's like, no, like, there's no point. Men and women, like, I don't care about conversation. It's just, chance, I don't have any say in this. Well, fine, okay. Keep running up against the brick wall. Think better, speak better, know who you are. It's not complicated. It can be hard, but once you decide to do this stuff, it becomes easier and easier very, very quickly. But you have to be disciplined with wanting to work your way through your problems these ways by talking, listening, and being honest. Too many diversions online now, too many escapes with entertainment. Yeah. Prince Revola says, I like how some men in these spaces adopt female behavior. Guys in relationships do it as well. Big ol', do you drink alcohol? No. Why can't I get a hot, brilliant girlfriend that I like and get along with? Well, the easiest one is be hot yourself, right? Do the best with what you have and get as physically fit. Take care of your appearance, dress well, speak well. So the surface level of how you present yourself to people, you know, that initial first impression is as best as it can be. And then the thing that you don't have as much control over is the person you come across, whether you're compatible, whether your values and ethics are the same. But if the first step, the very primal surface way you look and speak and present yourself is as best as it can be, then that's a good start. So you want a hot, brilliant girlfriend that you're compatible with. Be hot and brilliant yourself. That's a good first step. And then good luck with finding someone compatible. But if you won't even care about the first impression of what people find attractive and interesting to be around, then sorry, the chick sitting in front of you is not going to be your mother loving you for nothing just because you came from her. You don't get that connection with someone. You have to be attractive in some way. So let's wrap this up. I don't think there's any more questions or comments. If you have a microphone, jump onto my new Discord server, link below. Learn how to use Discord if you don't already know. Learn to use push to talk. Respect other people's conversations. Be nice, be mature. Have a good weekend. And leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this topic of courage and when you've allowed yourself to be a bit more courageous towards the things that are important to you. And again, for the people that interpret what I'm saying in this video as, so what human saying is, it's like, no, I'm saying have the courage towards the thing that are really meaningful for you and go about them in a courageous way. Take your time, assess, take calculated risks, and do them as best you can, not high on emotions or your primitive responses, but really stoically make the best decisions you can make that means something to you. So have a good weekend. I will jump on Discord in a moment, but let me take a break, and I'll see the rest of you on Discord. Have a good weekend. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Bye.